Good morning, everybody. It's Sunday, October the 8th, 2023. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an intuitive astrologer, and I'm here with your weekly readings. Pardon my sleepy eyes. I have had Pluto. We're going to talk a little bit about Pluto today, as you might have suspected through the title of this video. But Pluto's been keeping me up at night, asking me who and what I want to be at the deepest level. So we're going to chat about that. But before we do, just let me quickly say I am an intuitive astrologer. And what I'm going to do today is talk about this coming week's aspects. We have a solar eclipse in Libra at 21 degrees. That is 2 degrees away from the fixed star Spica, which is, I think, an extremely powerful influence. And I believe that this eclipse coming up is the most powerful influence of the year and setting a real energetic dynamic for our futures. So, and I don't say that to be scary. I say that in an excited way, because again, we're talking about the fixed star that represents the voice of the angels in the sign of partnership, peace, harmony, diplomacy, balance, cooperation. So this could be very exciting. And then we're going to talk about Pluto moving direct. You know, it could feel kind of funky because Pluto's been hanging out at, 27 degrees, 28 degrees of Capricorn for what feels like years. I know we had the toe tip into Aquarius earlier, but the focused concentration of Pluto in these last 3 degrees of Capricorn is really that master class. And the master class is not necessarily about mastering and wrestling down your negative thoughts or your fears or your limitations, but rather allowing for an awareness of them and what wisdoms do they have to offer, to query them at a deeper level than just that superficial negativity that it may feel like. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to talk primarily about the solar eclipse conjunct Mercury. I did a video on the solar eclipse focusing more on Spica, and I will talk about Spica because Spica, again, is at 23 degrees, almost 24 degrees of Libra. Right now we have Mercury hovering around what will be 17 degrees on the day of the eclipse, which is the Leo degree, which I think is very significant. And then Pluto has been squaring the karmic nodes for years, literally, because it was squaring the nodes when it was in the Scorpio Taurus axis. And now here we are in the sign of Libra Aries, the partnerships versus the self. So I think this is super, super powerful and in an exciting way. So I'm going to talk about the aspects, then I'm going to go do a reading for each one of the signs. We start with the birthday month. Happy birthday, Libra. This is your solar eclipse. So if your birthday is anywhere around this eclipse within a few days, this is extremely significant for you. If you have any of your personal planets around the eclipse, I think this is important for you. If you have a generational planet, which would be Pluto, Neptune, Uranus, this is a different dynamic. This would be a little bit more about the collective and about a bigger picture of things, whereas a personal planet will have some influence on you. And I think this is really going to be on an interior level, an emotional level, a belief level, which is super powerful. And we're going to do readings for each sign. As I said, we're going to start with the birthday month and then work our way around the zodiac. This is my Libra sun attempting to be fair to all birthdays out there. So we don't always start with Aries and end with Pisces. Okay, so let me kind of jump into some of the things I think are so important. So this solar eclipse that's happening on the 14th, it's a week from last Saturday, is to me, an invitation from the angelic realm. Now, you can use any word you want for a superior being, for a higher frequency, for a vibration of love. All of those things to me kind of fall under this umbrella. The word angels is a warm word for a human usually. It infers comfort, it infers solace, it infers support and guidance. And here This week, I think you're being invited to partner with your inner guidance, your inner voice. Because I want to say this to you, your angels will never sound like somebody else other than yourself. Your inner voice, your inner knowing, your source energy, God, will always kind of sound like fragments of you, because you are literally part of source energy. You are part of God energy. You are part of love energy. So this invitation for me, with this eclipse being conjunct the Mercury at 17 degrees. So here, 17 degrees is the Leo degree. What it is I want from my deepest heart, and do I have the courage to dream it and to focus in on it, and not to necessarily try to figure out the how, but to understand that as this Leo degree offers inspiration from a divine realm as to then what action to take in the human body that facilitates the experience that you want to have. This invitation of this solar eclipse coming now after we've gone through the nodes going through the south node going through Scorpio, the sign of power and control and money and sex and criminal behavior, dominance. And while Scorpio is extremely powerful in its higher vibrations, it represents the more distasteful energies of the human experience. Then we saw the north node in Taurus. And before it moved into the Aries Libra axis, this north node was ravenous to discover itself, its talents, to use its voice, to make its own flow of resources, aka money or whatever provides security. So as we moved into this new axis of the self versus the partnership, we found that everything we discovered about ourselves during the Taurus Scorpio nodal structure is starting to ask to be implemented. So the South Node in Libra is asking us to be egoless to the relationships that are out of balance. Meaning, if I rise above a situation where I'm in overly cooperative, where I'm actually not being served in a way that supports the balance, because balance is a flow between what is tasteful and what is distasteful, what appears to be dark and what appears to be light, and how they serve each other. So the egoless is that, do I have to be right? Do circumstances always have to be lined up perfectly for me to excel, for me to feel like I can shine my light? Because this Mercury at 17 degrees of Leo, asking me to have courage in my thought, courage to speak from my heart, to think from my heart. And the human will always say, how are you going to do that? If over the next couple of weeks you pay attention to your interactions with other people and you ever tell them you have an idea about something, oh, I want to do this, they're going to ask you how you're going to do it. And if you ever say to them, oh, well, I'm just going to focus in on how it will feel when it happens, they're going to tell you you're crazy. And yet, if you actually focus in on that and practice that Pluto focused, intense energy, then you will experience something that will appear to be magical, but it isn't really magical. It's alignment to your deeper truth, your source energy. So here we have this eclipse, this new chapter, this solar eclipse, a new moon, conjunct with everyday thoughts, everyday communications, everyday responsibilities, Mercury, 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 the younger children in my life, my siblings, the relationships I have with my workmates, my teammates, all things mercurial, the process of how I think, the process of how I act, the perceptions I give and permissions I give myself. This to me is this solar eclipse is the angel's invitation to examine those thoughts and to see if they're aligned to what works for you or what you want. And actually, if you're in a how will that happen? Or if you're in a, I must do this, I should do this, I have to do this, I need to do this. This is a real opportunity to step back and say, does that vibration serve the outcome I want? Does it serve an elevated experience? Because Pluto is ready to rise like the phoenix, to take its position as the eagle in the sky as we become more aware of this nodal structure, this karmic points. They are not on a point of my cerebralness. They are on a point of my emotional body. They are the nodes of the moon. They serve the emotional, the intuitive, the body that nurtures the self, the body that understands that it isn't about healing. It's about how the ebb and the flow of experiences serves our empowerment and serves our exhilaration. Because I truly, well, I do not enjoy it. And these sleepy eyes are my Pluto squaring my Mars right now because on the surface, I love the way my place has turned out, but now I've lived in it for a week and a half, and there are so many things that are not done properly and actually done really poorly. And what I get to do is wrestle with the Aries rising in me that wants to be very Martian-like, whip them into shape. And then there's the Libra part of me that says whipping anything doesn't work. So how do we become enrolling and inspiring? And I seem to be fine during the day, but at night, this starts to mull through my brain and I'm not sleeping, as you can see by my red, tired eyes. But what I do know is this is an opportunity for me. So while I am in this step one moment of identifying what I don't like in order to illuminate what I do like is how I'm showing up and how I will continue to be tenacious. And instead of allowing my frustration to take over that tenacity, I will allow the angel's voice inside of me to continue to support a version of my discomfort with the job that was done in a way that if it was coming to me, I could hear it. I want to be an enrolling energy. So this is really powerful. Now, Pluto. Oh, thank you, Small Wildflowers. Yes, absolutely. If you want a reading, I'm available. I want to say this about Pluto squaring the nodes as well. The square, to me, while it's considered, when we look at an opposition, we're looking at something outside of ourself, creating tension, an obstacle, something opposing our intention. But for me, a square is a part of myself that has gone under the human veil of habitual thought and behavior. And it is such an imprint that I may not even have a conscious awareness that I'm doing it. And so for me, the square is the beginning of the awareness of how I want to show up and how I can use the divine laws of the universe, the divine law of focus, AKA the law of attraction, and then the law of allowing. Because oftentimes the human will say, well, it hasn't happened yet. So, and that is actually cutting off the allowing, the timing of the situation. And the more focus you have on it's all working out, the faster and more accelerated that seems to move towards you. So this is what I think is why this week is so powerful. Will I, as a soul inhabiting a human experience, allow for the connection to my heavenly team? You can call them angels, you can call them God, you can call them Jesus, you can call them anything that sounds warm and fuzzy to your heart and your ear, because the vibration is what matters, not the word itself. Also, that invitation is an invitation to understand the ebb and the flow, the balance. So without Mercury's small individual tidbits of information, Jupiter's expansive and more philosophical information would get lost. There is an ebb and a flow to each axis on the wheel. So here we're experiencing because this this eclipse is going to oppose the North Node, and the North Node, I believe, is conjunct Eris right now, or close enough to it. We've got Chiron in there as well. So there's a strong energy of wanting to birth a version of myself that is authentic to my desires, to my power. And my power is not over another to make them do what I want them to do, but in my power comes in my awareness that how I show up contributes to my experience. So I think that's super, super awesome and not easy, because the initial part of it, and this is why retrogrades are so great, because, as Pluto retrograded back over those last degrees of Capricorn, I got to be illuminated into certain choices that I made that helped contribute to the experience I'm having right now. When I did tarot cards on potential handymen to do the work, and two of them were unknown, and they both got minor arcana cards. And the third one is the people that the property management uses. He got the devil card, and I chose to use him. And when I looked at it, I saw the restriction, the limitation. But for some reason, I was drawn to go to that because I felt like it also represented the authority of the property management helping to govern how this plays out. I don't know if that's going to happen because there's a lot of stuff that was not done properly. But in the knowledge of my choice, which I think was actually from a fear-based place, again, here's the devil card for me, I can own that because I'm looking for the wisdom of what it has to offer me as I walk through this experience, because I will never know the diplomacy that my Libra sun offers me, because I have lived an Aryan life and I have been a pushy broad and I have roared when I've been angry, and it's never worked for me in any solid way. It may have worked in a temporary way. So I think this is what I want to offer you this week. You know, when you're meditating or when you try to connect with spirit, allow yourself the privilege of your own version of how that looks. If you are an action-oriented sign, like a mercurial energy or a Mars energy, let yourself run or go take a walk or work out, and then allow yourself to experience the divinity of nature and what it has to offer. If you're more Piscean, you may want to go into a dark place and put on your headphones and do some, binaural beats or something. But this connection that's being offered to you during this solar eclipse week has an opportunity to connect on a soul level for the rest of this lifetime, where you start to trust that inner voice. And even though that inner voice sometimes appears disruptive, oh, this isn't the right guy or girl for you. This isn't the right job for you. Here you are pretending you're in a dream job and it's about to be a nightmare. That's not them being disruptive. That's them encouraging you through Pluto's energy to go to the deep psychology of how you're making your decisions. And that is why we come to this planet again and again, not to learn, not to be taught, but to have an opportunity to make a decision based from what my soul knows versus what my human personality tells me is possible. And that human personality was trained by a bunch of other human personalities that had absolutely no awareness of their power, because humans have not been raised that way. They have been for eons and eons and eons raised with a more slave mentality. And you can pick any geographical location on the planet and you'll see that as a common thread. So this is what I want to offer you. I also want to let y'all know I did a separate video on the eclipse focusing in on the Spica dynamic. I don't know anyone else that has done a video like that, but again, I haven't searched that hard to find out because I'm just, in this last month, I realized that the more authentic I am to my desires and my truth and me sharing that with you, that is me being in my vortex. That's me being in my highest vibration and really not looking at what anybody else is doing. And I was doing quite a bit of that the last little bit. So I'm happy to have an awareness about that so I can shift. Good morning, Nina. Good morning, DJ. Hey, Small Wildflowers. So good to see you. Hi, Carly. I hope you're feeling good and getting your energy back. Hi, Jules. Let's see who else I miss. Scarred Al. Catherine, great to see you, everybody. All right, let's jump into our readings. We're going to start with our birthday babies. That would be our Libras. Again, really big week to have your solar return on this eclipse. And I didn't bring this up. Let me say this. Any personal planets you have near this eclipse, there is an opportunity to shine. And, the node squaring Pluto could be the very moment when Pluto, you rise like the phoenix from the ashes. And there is Pluto rules power in a good way, influence in a good way. It rules resources in a good way. It rules other people's money. So this could be, depending if you have Mercury there's a potential there could be a new position that you get that changes your everyday world. There could be, something that happens with one of your children that creates abundance. There's so many opportunities that this eclipse has to offer. So I think putting a little bit of intention, if your Venus is there, This is a real opportunity to declare your, oh, yay, and your rising. DJ, what degree is your Mercury or your rising? Because we also have the galactic center is at 2 degrees of Libra. And if your sun is at 2 degrees of Libra or your rising on this solar eclipse, this would be very powerful to me, because you already have a very karmic and sort of soul intention to work on relationships with yourself in order to feel the love of others. So Mercury at 5 degrees is interesting. So the rising is absolutely going to be conjunct the eclipse within 3 degrees or within 1 degree. And your rising is also within 3 degrees of Spica. It's a 2.4 orb. It's pretty close. And your Mercury is within the 5 to 12 degree orb of the galactic center. So super galactic center. So I think that's very powerful, because a lot of this will be, how do I interact? How do I speak when it comes to my relationships? And mostly it's your relationship with yourself. That's the kind of the funny thing about Libra, because it's the only sign that has no living being in it. It is ruled by the scales. So it's asked to be impartial. And yet oftentimes we put this human imprint and impression of what we think partnership is. So this is very powerful. All right, let's go on. Let's see what our tarot card is for our Libras. Well, this is wonderful. This is the King of Wands. This is very Sagittarian. What does Sagittarius rule? The connection to the angelic realm. Big thoughts, broad thoughts, thoughts that are in many ways idealistic, thinking about, how the world can be. It represents our Sagittarius and Jupiter represent business, commerce, social interactions, and not interactions like Mercury, but more on a philosophical level. Are our ideologies similar? It rules business and commerce. So, and if you look at this king, he's very much looking out to the future. He's not sitting here in the present. And yet we see this, I think this is like a chameleon, or yeah, a little chameleon. Yeah, that's how the Geico. Yeah, it could be a Geico as well. But for me, I kind of see this as a willingness to be curious in big situations. When we think of Jupiter, when we think of Sagittarius, we think of international travel, international experiences. So this is diversity at its finest. And I also believe that this eclipse this week is offering us an opportunity to look broader at how we interact with not only the humans in our life, but with all the other elements in our life. How do we interact with our own breath? How do we interact with nature? How do we interact with the days? So here we go. Let's see, Libra, what this has to offer you. Our first angel for our Libra rising, moon, sun, and stelliums is Archangel Uriel. Then we have the angel Omega. Then we have the angel Patience, and then we have Desiree. Archangel Uriel is being joined by the Stag. Omega is being joined by the High Priestess. Patience is being joined by the Queen. And Desiree is being joined by the Lady of the Lake. When I think about Libra, and I think about, the idea that your 7th house is Aries. And right now we have Chiron going through Aries. We have this energy of the nodes entering Aries. And it's not in some ways natural for a true Libra. I don't feel like I'm a true Libra. My sun is so eclipsed by my moon and my rising because the Stag here is about stubbornness, and this Archangel Uriel is about frustration. It can also be about anger. And if we look here, there could be a sense of Libra feeling like I'm not getting to look towards my future, or I'm not on some level getting a clear focus of where I'm evolving to. And I want to offer it this way because it feels almost as if there's the potential that Libra, because you're the partnership sign, you feel like you're not you're frustrated or you're not being able to move forward because you're looking for the agreement of somewhere outside, the people outside of yourself, either your husband or your wife or your kids or your mom or your dad or your friends, because the victory, Omega offers victory when you stay connected to that angelic realm, that energy of Spica, allowing yourself to sort of say, you know what, whatever it is I want to create is not about the validation of somebody else liking my idea or somebody else saying, oh, that's a good thing, but me allowing myself to percolate, to gestate on this, to allow it some roots before I run off and have the weed killers out there. Because patience is a time, the angels are asking you for patience and observation in your ability to receive. This is so much the high priestess. It's a lower level of high priestess because it's the human queen, and this is the divine energy of the queen, because I think there's something about Libra adjusting to. When I first started declaring who I was going to be, I remember I got inspired to ask myself, what price am I willing to pay to be me? Because there were people that I loved that did not agree with me. They didn't like my intuition. They said, this is a rock, or this is a rock. And I would say, no, it's a bunch of dense molecules. They're rose crystals, dense molecules. And they would get annoyed by that. Because for my Libras, Desiree is saying conditions aren't favorable, that you're still walking through a storm of your own truth and your own willingness to stand in that truth on some level. When we look at the idea of the Shapley attractor that has those 4 points, the galactic center, the supergalactic center, the great attractor, and the Shapley attractor. The supergalactic center is at 2 degrees, 22 minutes of Libra. It is an attracting of a relationship that is aligned in balance of the ebb and the flow of relationships. It's not about making sure one person is always happy. And I feel as if this could be a Libra trying to define how I make other people happy and make myself happy. It's almost like wanting to have 1 foot in the old and 1 foot in the new, and feeling slowly like you're starting to do the splits. And now it's time to pull back and get some solid footing. Because if you're standing on frustration that you haven't been able to really connect with that part of yourself that wants to move in an individual way, then that's because you're still overly invested in how other people will perceive that. And it may be, the question is, I'm willing for people not to understand my motives or my actions or my beliefs right now. I'd rather have them experience me thrive, because if we look at this is also that Jupiter is expansive. It brings wealth, it brings opportunity and business expansion. So I think this is super, super powerful for Libra. And I think on your solar return with an eclipse here, and Libra Aries is going to be on the eclipse axis for a while. So these are not points that are happening to you. They're points offering you an opportunity to make a choice that is of a vibration on some level that is outside your box of human belief, but inside the box of your inner knowing. So connect with your guides and your angels. They're your friends. Have a conversation. I think conversations are the best because you can literally not ask a question in a vulnerable way, but in a more mercurial way, where you're gathering information that will help you anchor in your new belief or your new version of yourself, or the evolved version, however you want to say it. The more aware version is what I'm coming to enjoy best in the way of verbiage. Excuse me while I take a sip. My hands, okay, are just so stiff. My thumbs are like revolting. All right, Scorpio, are you ready? Scorpio. Oh, thank you, DJ. Scorpio, here we go. Rising moon, sun, and stelliums. The Hierophant. This is really wild because, first of all, Pluto is your ruling planet. And while Mars is the sub-ruler, here I think you've been going through a transformation in your beliefs. And I want to offer this as well, because I feel like an evolved or an aware Scorpio is sort of like the greatest. I don't know if you guys remember the Detective Columbo, way back in the day, because Columbo was played by Robert Falk, I think his name was, and he sort of looked like a bumbling guy. Like he didn't really have his, the light bulb on, porch, the porch lights on, nobody's home. He sort of had that look about him, and yet he was a keen observer of behavior and of people in general. So he'd always look like he didn't know what he was doing, and then he would solve the crime. I think, pardon me, this is Scorpio's opportunity, is to sort of be a little Columbo-ish in your life. Don't let everybody know all your cards, because I think that this is where your real power lies, in being able to experience that intense focus, what some people call that brooding intensity of Scorpio. To me, you have the best opportunity to align to source energy, to that outcome, to be aware of that deeper imprint, and rather than trying to exterminate it, to label it toxic and excrete it, labeling it as compost. As it transforms, it feeds. Because I think you're rewriting your belief system. I think you're rewriting how you're showing up. And I think that this is an opportunity for you to know you have a stinger, but rather than just using it willy-nilly, it's a choice. And through that choice, there's power. All right, let's see where we're going. I over the years, I've been villainized for my intensity. I've been villainized for my willingness to open my big damn mouth and to say things that other people don't appreciate me saying. Okay. And I try very hard not to cuss, because cuss words don't teach anybody anything. But so it's a way for me. I've literally been uppity. Okay. I'm not saying I'm in a good energy. And this awareness of that doesn't make me villainize myself, but it does make me aware that that doesn't always work for me. So when I want to go into that energy, I try very hard not to go into it unconsciously. It's kind of when I'm in that last fight and I know I'm about to die. So I just let, when you're about to be voted off the island, you just blow up the room. But I don't do that anymore, because I think that's something about Scorpio, that I don't want to villainize that, but I want to use it as sort of this hidden tool. I do love cuss words, but in an argument, they just don't serve. They're better served for happiness, or, like, I'm so fucking happy, Oh, did I say that out loud? I like them that way, because you just turn the ear off of the person you're talking to. And that's the biggest challenge of human communications. We really don't listen, because we don't even like what we're hearing. So if we try to present something in a way people can hear it, we may learn how to enroll instead of just annihilate or run away. All right, Scorpio. First angel is Opal. The second is Athena. The third is Maya, pardon me while I laugh, and Aurora, because this is all about schooling you on your power and control and how to assert that in a way that's authentic, but not, annihilating. Okay, Opal's being joined by the Lady of the Lake. I'm sorry, I just want to laugh right now. I suddenly got the giggles. Athena is being joined by the hawk. Maya's being joined by the wasp. Oh my God. How did this happen? You are so funny. Scorpio, it's happening. Okay, you're having a rebirth. I really want to say this because, I know a lot of Scorpios. I know a lot of Capricorns, and I talk about loving their energy so much, but there's a few of you that, or not you out there, but them in my life, that aren't aware of astrology, and they show up like their signs in ways that are very challenging. So here, Scorpio, here's Opal reminding you that everyone, including yourself, is a child of God. Okay. Now here is learning how to use your sword. Mars is your co-ruler. Mars rules swords. Here is this storm between your emotional body and what your head knows. This is about self-respect and courage, and how to use that power you have in a constructive way, in a way that is authentic to your frustration or whatever you want to express, but in a way that does not isolate yourself or throw yourself under the bus inadvertently, because Athena is talking about asserting yourself lovingly and seeing the big picture. And then Maya, in the angel's advice, is schooling you, giving you an education about your anger. There's the wasp. Because if you think about it, you don't respond when someone's too bold or too pushy or too in your face. So why would anyone respond if you're being that way? Because what I think is that you're starting to rewrite your beliefs, and you're starting to rewrite how you show up, and you're starting to understand your motivations. So it's like, rather than just being reactive in your frustration or anger, now you're like, okay, how do I want to show up? And now I'm looking at Scorpio going into levels of mastery of how they want to show up. And when they get to the big guns, they're probably pretty frustrated and just have given up on the other party, and they're ready to move on and say, see ya, wouldn't want to be ya. Because here is Aurora saying that you're flying high right now. Do not descend, because you will soon inspire others. And here's the birth and the rebirth card. There's Pluto. Now, who inspires the most? The people that are most obvious in their dysfunction. When you look at somebody who's super angry and then they start to react more balanced, you're like, whoa, I expected so much of a different reaction from you. Or like with Capricorn, Capricorn can sometimes be the one that goes, no. And then maybe when you say maybe, people are like, oh, whoa, what happened? So you actually, Scorpio, have so much power to represent new beliefs, to represent alignment, to represent trust in a bigger picture, to understand the human frailty and the human flaws and the human fucked upness that makes people do what they do. And rather than villainizing them for that, then you cannot be understanding to the point where you're like, well, you're just going to be that way, but rather shift the energy through your own power of focus, which is expressing yourself in a way that feels intentional and strong and loving. So this morning, while I was writing a text to the property management guy and the work guy who did the work, when I first walked in here, I was like, oh my God, it's so beautiful. It's so clean. It's so nice. Well, Teri looks around and there's like, oh my God, they didn't do this. And oh my God, they paint all over the blinds, paint all over this. There's a hole over here. Now, I could go in and say, you did crappy work. You're shoddy. You were, I could say something about their character, but I knew better. I knew better. My Mercury's in Scorpio. I'm going to look lovingly, assert myself, and see the bigger picture. Then I'm going to learn about my anger in a way that's more constructive. So I'm going to focus on the issues at hand. And I'm going to keep pulling on the string in a loving way. I'm not going to look at how fast it gets done, or if anybody's listening to me in the human realm. I'm going to put them in charge, and I'm going to keep my attitude in check. That's what I'm going to say. I'm not going to go into, oh, I'm an old lady, you don't want to help me. Because when I was a young lady, I didn't think people wanted to help me. There's always, I know that Virgo eye. But I got to tell you, this is not me being picky-uni. If I show you a picture of the front door screen, you're going to be like, are you kidding me? It's like this, crooked. And they just painted over crap versus actually getting it flat and doing stuff. So anyway, good morning, Tracy. Good morning, DJ. I'm sorry I didn't say good morning earlier. And if I did say good morning, I don't remember. So I apologize. I'm saying it again. Good morning, Jules. I think I said hi. Jenny. All right, here we go. On to our Sagittarius' rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Oh, what a lovely card to have for this week. I want you guys to start to think of Pluto as your friend, okay? Because yes, initially Pluto is going to bring up the poop, right? What does Pluto represent? The toilet, the anus, the excretion of toxic waste. But what does that transform into? Compost that makes things beautiful. So here's a card of great happiness and celebration. The 10s always are a new beginning. It's also, on some level, we see at the culmination in the 9 energy, and the 10 is a new offering. So let's see what we're going with this. All right, here we go. Our first angel for Sagittarius rising is Shanti, the angel of peace and tranquility. Then we have Aurora in the angel's advice. Grace and Antoinette are in the angel's advice. Sorry, Aurora was in the opportunity or the obstacle, and Vanessa is in the final position. She represents decision-making based on faith or fear. And at this point, I'm really thinking, is this intention? I'm going to base it on intention. And then I'm going to ask for my intention to be rooted. All right, here we go. Shanti is being joined by the horse. Sagittarius, the horse is in this deck to me, is your totem. And this makes me feel like I am delegating my peace and my tranquility to God and the angels while I turn and look a new direction. Aurora is being joined by the frog, which represents a releasing of emotional baggage, but I'm not a big releaser. I like to incorporate, to integrate, because that distasteful emotional experience is an intuitive tool that when I start to feel it again, it might be time to look and see if I'm standing in the present moment of my own happiness. Here we go. Grace and Antoinette is being joined by the owl, which represents the two sides of a situation and the wisdom to see them both and how they serve. Then we see Vanessa being joined by the forgiveness card, which is a reconciliation for me. So while this 10 of Cups is a beautiful energy, this is not happening to you, Sagittarius. This is happening with you and your invitation. Sagittarius is naturally, again, the traveler, the one that sees and accepts and embraces diversity and multicultural situations. They're interesting and they're educational and they're exciting. And I feel as if in this particular week, we're talking about going someplace on an interior level that you've never been before. And that is the connection with your team. And to understand that your heavenly team does not sound any different than your own human voice. The difference is they're more accepting and loving of your ups and your downs and your nooks and your crannies. And when I first started automatic writing, which is how I first connected with my team, I used to say to my friends sitting there, well, this has got to be from another place because I'm too full of piss and vinegar to be this nice to myself. So here, I really believe that the peace and tranquility that Sagittarius is being offered is because not only are you connecting with a larger portion of yourself, of your soul that is living outside the human experience, holding space for that veil, but it's also turning towards something that brings you peace and tranquility, something that brings you, if indeed in any given moment you can't influence a situation, there is no point to continue to think about it. Okay. And that could be another benefit from this solar eclipse being conjunct Mercury. Mercury is at 17 degrees. The solar eclipse is at 21. Spica is at 23 degrees of Libra. So you could really individualize yourself and the way you're thinking by going into a new direction. And I want to offer this too, because those of you that listen to Abraham Hinks, you'll be aware that, when you're in a distasteful, unpleasant moment, it's what they call a step one moment that identifies what you don't want. So then you can start to identify more clearly what you do want. Because Aurora is saying you're flying high right now, Sagittarius. Don't descend because you will soon inspire others. And that's because I don't think you're trying to release your emotional baggage, but now you are seeking the wisdom within your emotional baggage. And in doing so, you are having compassion for the contrary experiences that the human race, the human journey is riddled with. There's no getting out. There is no destination of pure joy and happiness until you die. And I'm not even sure when you're dead that it's all, because if it is, then that's why we jump back into the human body or whatever body we choose to jump in the galaxy. Because I just don't think any of us wants to live in some weird flatlined contentment. And when you're out of body, the roller coaster ride seems more fun because when you're out of body, you're like, I can remember my truth. I can remember who I am. And that's what this eclipse has to offer you, to remember the divinity within you. So when you go up and down, or what appears to be up and down, you go, that down has something to give me that may be more powerful and more influential and more solid than any going up. Because Sagittarius, here's Vanessa. You've made your decisions based on faith. You've decided, I can't worry about something anymore. I'm putting it in God's hands. I'm putting it in the angels' hands. I'm putting it in my higher self's hands to hold space for the right outcome or the outcome I want. And in doing so, you start create magic. And there's that reconciliation, which looks like forgiveness. Oh my goodness, I did that. I did that. I actually took no action, which became action, which became God in the universe stepping in and creating what appears to be magic, a solution I could never have thought of. And it's all because I held space for my peace. It's so powerful. And it's so where we are all heading as humans. This is absolutely the ascension. It's an awareness. And I want to caution you, if anybody tells you in any counseling session, in any, enlightenment session that you must do something, or you have to do something, or you should do something, you should have a better attitude, you must be positive, you have to reach for your better self, that is counterintuitive. That's a struggle. So being okay with the woo Libra energy, up and down, then it becomes more of a fun ride, like you're river rafting, right? And it becomes exhilarating. And you don't want to be in a quiet spot on a river. You want to feel your flexibility. You want to feel the exhilaration. Oh, I get so impassioned. Sometimes I think I'm a Baptist, and I'm not. Okay, here we go. On to our Capricorns. How you loving your little end of Pluto? Oh, this is such a good energy for my Capricorns. Capricorn rules government, rules, restrictions, trickle down authority, as they say. And now this is the card of going your own way. This is exactly what I think has been happening for my Capricorn rising sun, moon, stelliums, and any personal planets you have in Capricorn. This is literally these swords could be the mercurial swords of the town, the city, the gathering of the I want to call it a carnival, but it's really a caravan. And here he's going, you know what? I have my own individual thoughts. And while I must leave some of those thoughts behind, I need to go my own way, or I get to go my own way because I don't need to do anything. That's what we want to start to rewrite. Need is a human construct. The soul wants to do things. It gets to do things. So here, Capricorn, you're getting to rewrite. And look here, the 7 is a 7th house of Libra. This eclipse, while it may square you, okay, because it's literally 4 degrees away from Pluto that's in Capricorn, meaning 4-degree orb. I think Pluto's still at 27 degrees for most of the month. And then we see this 21-degree eclipse that's 6 degrees. It's a loose square, but a strong, powerful square nonetheless, because Pluto's a strong, powerful planet. And so is this eclipse on the voice of angels. Let's see where we're going. Okay. Ariel, new psychic and spiritual experiences are changing the way you view yourself and others. Oh, I really quickly want to say, I'm sorry to interrupt my Capricorns. DJ, thank you so much. I want to send you that love real quickly. All right, Capricorn, thank you for forgiving me to break the rules in the middle of the reading. Fiona is asking you to allow God and the angels to inspire you into the next action. No assertion is necessary. Rochelle is offering you abundance by following your heart. And Isaiah is giving you a new beginning. This is beautiful. Thank you, DJ. All right, Capricorn, Ariel is being joined by the protection card. This is so wonderful. Fiona is being joined by the frog. Rochelle is being joined by the partnership card. And Isaiah is being joined by the dragon. Okay, I want to say this because this feels so awesome for me. The 7 of Swords is a card of thinking on your own, going your own way. It could feel slightly lonely because, the herd is back there, but, leaders don't stand with the herd. They stand in front of the herd. And I want to offer it this way because as Pluto has been transiting the house of government, the house of authority, the house of rules that don't necessarily create a win-win, okay, because of the duty that's assigned to Capricorn, the obligation. Depression is not an energy that's fun. So if you're doing something depressing, it's not something you want to do. That is counterintuitive to the soul's experience. So Pluto has been going in there and chipping away at that old structure. It started off kind of benignly, and then we got into 2019 and 2020, and it just got cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. So here, I believe that now my Capricorns are starting to trust through this 38, which reduces down to an 11, which is the master number of thought. You know that as you stand aligned to the truth of what you want versus what you feel duty to, what you feel you must do, what you feel you should do, you will start to feel a protection through spirit, that you are standing in leadership, that you are standing for a new government, for a new earth, an earth that aligns to that. We no longer feel charitable because someone is a victim. We feel charitable to them as they wobble within their own vibration, and we work to help, or we facilitate to help their alignment. We no longer want to heal people, but we want to help them identify where their balance is, because God and the angels are saying to Capricorn, now that you asked for their help, be open to receiving. And part of that help is to sort of put those old obligatory rules and regulations, which you can represent, to the side for a minute. It's not to villainize those rules, but if they're out of balance, are they really serving the truth of what you can show in the way of leadership? When you rewrite that endurance you represent, that tenacity you represent, to be that which is following your heart, then you truly are standing in leadership, in an opportunity for us to feel a thriving within this planet, the reward that Capricorn has to offer. Because in the angels' advice, you're starting to truly anchor in that partnership with your heart being the voice of God, voice of the angels, voice of your higher self, voice of your prosperity, voice of your enjoyment, the voice that says when you're going through a dip that there's something exciting happening. And let me look and explore that, because Isaiah is protecting this human while this human gestates a new life. And it doesn't mean a life outside of yourself, Capricorn. This could be very much the life you're currently living as you become very aware of your power. And your power lies in your focused thought. And your focused thought aligned to, how do I feel? The nodes are an extension of the moon. The moon represents our intuitive, emotional, nurturing body. And that's where we've been missing a lot. We've been tucking that moon as it is less than the sun. It is in many ways, no pun intended, eclipsing the sun. And that is revealed this week in the eclipse conjunct the voice of angels. So Capricorn, embrace your new individuality, embrace your baby goat. And, frankly, this would be a really good time to keep the musings of your heart a little bit to yourself, or connected to source, your confidants that are aligned to source. Because if we're going out into the 3D world, very likely people could be doing how are you going to do that? And this could make you very much recognize, I'm connecting to spirit. That's how I'm doing it. And then people will tell you you're crazy. They'll tell you to get out there and make some phone calls, get a real job. That's what my dad said. Get a real job, Teri. When I told him I wanted to do this, if he only knew what this real job really is. It's more real than any job I ever had working for someone else. Okay, here we go on to our Aquariuses. Rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Okay, let's talk about the devil. Now, I want to offer this because this is a challenging energy. All right, it is an energy where we feel in some ways chained to an event, to a person that has bigger authority than us, someone who's stronger than us. But on closer inspection, the neckwear, the chains that are literally around their neck and tied to the devil, they could let go of them by just lifting them over their heads. So this is a fear card. And this is actually a card that I think, while it offers a lot of challenge, it offers a lot of opportunity. And the opportunity is awareness. And if I'm going to victimize myself by where I feel tethered, trapped, enchained, enslaved, or will I start to use this experience as a way to unchain myself, to release myself from any enslaved thoughts or processes that I have put on myself. Let's look and see. Our first angel for Aquarius is Sonia, the connection to the angelic realm and those that you've loved that have crossed over to the other side. The next angel is Francesca, which is about focus. Then we have Xana, the angel of protection. And then we have Ray, the connection to the angelic realm through meditation. Whoop. They are, great things are coming faster than any of us knows, and we're here to represent. Okay, so I may lose some of you right now, but I'm just going to say it. The Golden Bachelor. What have I been talking about? Rewriting the aging process. All right, Aquarius. Sonia is being joined by the abundant cow, asking and receiving. Francesca is being joined by the queen, another receiving energy. Xana is being joined by the perception card. And Ray is being joined by the focus card. Aquarius, I want to offer this because early born Aquariuses have already felt a little Pluto entering the sign of their rising sign. But I want to offer it this way because it also opposes Leo. This is an opportunity to really connect. Again, this eclipse, Pluto squaring the nodes, this could be an opportunity to connect with spirit and thank them for helping you to identify fears that ultimately empower you as you nourish yourself, as you spend time in a receiving mode, as you see yourself as abundant. Some of the challenges that I've walked through during my Pluto squaring my ascendant, squaring my sun, and squaring now my Mars is my interactions with others have felt as if other people really just don't give a shit about anything involving me, and they do the very minimum possible. This triggers my South Node in the 12th house of Aries feeling like I'm not seen, which makes me want to get bigger and roar. It doesn't work. So here, connect with your angelic team because you, Aquarius, have the ability to roar as well. Unexpectedly, that lightning, that root, root. But here, as you connect, you will start to feel the abundance that will inadvertently turn this into a tool of intuitive awareness. Because again, the queen is talking about reception, being calm and open to receiving. The baton is not in your hand. And the only thing that you can do in a human way is to visualize how it will feel when the outcome shows up. So how do I do that? By knowing that I'm being protected by the angels. Knowing that this protection, again, comes from my perception of a situation. How will I perceive this? Because me going through this, little bit of this, what they did was basically a rushed job. That's what it feels like to me. Let's just do the minimum amount, make it look sort of good, and then get the hell out of there. If I villainize those workmen for that perception that I have, then that is something that I feel enchains me to an old victimized story. But if instead I focus on the actual workmanship and then diplomatically express myself, I feel the divinity of my team giving me that which I want because I'm focused on a more positive feeling, warm, receptive, inviting welcomeness for the shift. That's what I want to say. Your Aquarius, you are being offered this week a real invitation to connect with your team. Your power chakra is this yellow color. Your heart, your voice, all come from your focus on your connection that the universe will provide as you open and focus in on the idea that they are providing. And your job is not to define the time frame or how that will happen. Because sometimes things can come out of nowhere that you can't see. And you're like, wow, I could never have come up with that. And that's when you get out of Spirit's way. Because the solutions are there's much more of a broad tool chest of solutions from Spirit's point of view than what you can see. All right, let's go on to our Pisces. Rising Moon, Sun, and Stelliums. Your tarot card is the Six of Cups. Now, this is a very warm, loving energy. There's an innocence to this. This is the only card in the tarot deck where all the cups are flourishing. They're all full of flowers and they're all blossoming. And in the background, you can see this adult character walking away. It feels very much as if this card is a card of renewed innocence, of renewed faith in good things. And we know that right now Saturn is about retrograded about 1 degree, about to be at the ingress degree, that 0 degree of new beginnings. And I think as Saturn has retrograded, it's given us an opportunity to step back in your first house and to see how you are asserting yourself in a way that supports your long-term reward and gain. That is Saturn's gift. And oftentimes, especially with the signs that are more mutable, more, Pisces is a very empathetic sign and inadvertently fuses with the energies around it. So if the energies you've been fusing to are not serving your greatest happiness, Saturn's going to feel a little funky at first. And at the same time, Saturn is like, the daddy that can see that, long-term reward is better than short-term relief. Let's see where we're going. Our first angel is Xana, the angel of protection. The second is Fiona. Now that you ask God and the angels for help, be open to receiving. Isabella is here, heralding a happy outcome. And Daniel is the angel of partnership. Now, to me, this is always the boy or one person offering their cup of love to another, a full-hearted cup of love. All right, Pisces, Xana is being joined by the bird. Fiona's being joined by the cat. Isabella's being joined by the focus card. And Daniel's being joined by the forgiveness card. Saturn rules history, rules old age. And here we see the bird ruling history. The bird also rules poetry. It rules music. Pisces rules poetry and dance. And this is the enchantment of storytelling, the bird. It's another element to it. Now let's go to this eclipse in the sign of Libra. That is the house of partnership. And here, what I think this is Spirit asking you and offering you protection as you start to tell a new story. Not the story of your history, but the story of what you would like your loving relationships to feel like, how it would feel when they're enchanted. Because here is Fiona saying, now that you've asked God and the angels for help, be open to receiving. And the cat is an interesting energy because a cat will not, unless you trap it inside of a house, okay, where it can't get out, a cat will not stay in an unloving environment. It will leave. It will escape. And Pisces will stay in an unloving situation because sometimes they feel either trapped or victimized by the situation, or they feel powerless over it. They don't feel their own individuality is strong enough to move themselves into a more healthy situation. And Saturn is coming in over this next 1.5 years, 2 years to illuminate where you're holding yourself small versus seeing, while we often refer to the 12th house of Pisces as the house of undoing, the house of self-troubles. It's oftentimes because in the compassion for another person's human story, you don't see their divinity. And their divinity is an opportunity to overcome their human story because your happiness is in your focus of yourself right now. And am I being loved in the way that I need to be loved? Do I even know what that feels like? Do I even truly know what it feels like to be loved authentically? Because Daniel is the angel of marriage and partnership, but he is also another angel of history in relationships. Where is this eclipse? In the sign of partnership, in the voice on the 2 degrees from the voice of the angels, there's the reconciliation. Because oftentimes it isn't until we stand up for ourselves that another person actually demonstrates our value. And many, many times the human has gotten so far down the road that there's no coming back. So for me, I think that this Six of Cups is about an innocence in love. I think it's offering Pisces an opportunity to evaluate if they're feeling loved at an authentic level or if they're feeling loved for what they provide to another human being. It's kind of a scary question to ask yourself, because especially if you're in the healing arts, because oftentimes we find that those around us get into an energy that makes us feel valued on a personal level when we're really being valued on a more professional level. And it can get blurry in the Pisces energy. And so here, I hope that during this eclipse that you focus in on your own personal needs, your own personal desires, your own personal wants. And rather than trying to exterminate or recalibrate the existing relationships, just staying in the new story and sort of singing that song often and loudly and allowing the universe to provide the experiences that support that new story. That's where the forgiveness card comes in. That's where a reconciliation comes in. This is where a healthy partnership comes in. All right, on to our Aries, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Welcome, Dr. Linda. Good to see you in the room. I'm going to take a quick sip of my lemon cayenne honey concoction. Pardon me for the clanking. Glass straw. All right, my Aries, here we go. This is the Five of Wands. Now, the first thing when I was being taught the tarot was this was competition. When I look at this, I see these guys holding all these wands awkwardly. They don't feel like they're competing with one another, because if they are, this has got to be the bad news bears. Look at this card. The guy in the blue tunic isn't even anywhere near anyone else. He's just holding that wand up. So here, I may infer that with the 5, being the number 5 represents a sense of freedom, a sense of liberation. And I look at the awkwardness, there could be with the South Node, with the North Node traveling through your first house, as well as Chiron going through your first house, there could be a feeling of awkwardness about your transformation. Chiron is a vulnerable energy in the wound aspect of it. Chiron, the centaur, always felt outside of the group. And even though he was revered as a healer, as a dispenser of wisdom and knowledge, he never felt really connected. And I think this can be a bit of the Aries energy, as I don't really feel connected to others. The opposing sign for you is Libra, and that is the sign of partnership. The sign of home squares you. So there can be a weird awkwardness to the idea of really connecting with other people on a deep level. Let's see where we're going with this, because Pluto is squaring the late degrees of Aries. And this might be where Aries has this feeling of, I'm always by myself. I always have to do everything by myself. I know I have that story. The whole dang reason I wanted to go to a hotel with room service is because I always have to cook for myself. I always get my own, remedies when I'm not feeling well. I always have to rub my own thumbs when they hurt. So I wanted to go have a feeling of someone else taking care of me. And this may be sort of a back and forth energy, because that North Node may make you ravenous to be seen for your individuality, which will make you feel as if people are caring for you because they're honoring you, versus villainizing you as the harsh one or the warrior or the angry, resentful one. Let's see where we're going. Fiona is showing up again now that you've asked God and the angels for help. Be open to receiving. Then we have Isabella. Yes, the timing is right for this new venture. Bridget is asking you to look deeper into your motivations before proceeding further. And I think that is actually connecting with your team. Again, we have Sonia coming through. Can represent a deceased loved one, but when I'm talking to a large group, I usually think of it as your team, your guides, your angels. Fiona is being joined by the cat. Isabella's being joined by the owl. Bridget's being joined by the risk card. And Sonia is being joined by the partnership card. You know, as I look at this today, and you know, I tell you guys all the time, I'm an Aries rising. And while I'm not so sure that I'm looking for a committed partnership, you know, someone I have to call every morning, good morning and good night, blah, blah, blah. I haven't been in those relationships in a long time. I do know that I enjoy companionship. I want someone to share my life with, not just listen to their life. And I feel when I'm looking at this, that this is something that may be going on for Aries, that the Pluto squaring your first house. And while this is really focusing in on those late degree of Aries, I also want to bring up, if you have a significant point at the late degrees of Aries, your midheaven is at the late degree of Aries, that could make you a Leo rising. Pay attention to this, because I think this is an important time for you to give. And now I'm going to look at this cat and I'm going to say, this cat wants 9 lives. And Fiona's saying, now that you ask God and the angels for help, be open to receiving. You guys are going to laugh at me, okay? But I really, when I first started hearing them advertising for the Golden Bachelor, I was like, oh, the Bachelor franchise, it grossed me out. Young, dumb love. I don't want to watch old, dumb love. And then I got suckered into that first episode, and I really saw what Spirit has been showing me for years about the aging process. So it's not about the show. It's about the individuals who still feel vital, who still want love, who still have a lot of life to live. And I feel like that's what Aries, you have a lot of life to live. And now maybe you do want to live it more with companionship, with somebody seeing the evolved version of you. And so it's time to give life to that idea and to give it through your connection to Spirit. Because Isabella is saying, yes, the timing is right for this new adventure. And when I look at the owl, I feel like this is really more of an inside job. You know, this is like really looking at Pluto squaring those nodes and saying, am I going to focus in on what's challenging in a relationship, or am I going to focus in on the evolved version of me experiencing a relationship that is at something I've never experienced before, because I'm a seasoned professional, or I'm an aware professional, because the angels are offering you an opportunity to take a risk. And this look deeper feels like it's into your own evolution. I really believe that when Mars spent 7 months in Gemini, that Aries and Scorpio, for that matter, Mars ruled people, got a real glimpse into their energy and their assertion. And if they've been inadvertently dominant, overbearing, you know, even intimidating, that energy doesn't really work. So now you're learning how to be inspiring, because that's what Aries is, passion. Okay. And Scorpio, for that matter, knowing the deep psychology that, that people, you know, knowing that imprint, being able to see that more clearly than any other sign, it almost tasks you with using your sword as Excalibur versus as a weapon for annihilation. Because I think this is time to risk looking deeper into the idea of why you want connection, and that you may feel somewhat awkward within it. And yet, if you are allowing yourself to just trust your authenticity and your value, then you will feel that divinity within you. Because I feel like Sonia here is not just offering connection to the angelic realm, connection with your team, but as you connect with your team, you actually feel more understanding and more in alignment with the humans that you interact with. So where there was frustration and where you may have villainized other humans as, you know, either being dumb or doing things on purpose, now you're starting to look at it as here's an opportunity for me to display the knight within me versus the warrior, Knight. So this is very much about connection with others, about being brave in your own value, even if you feel a little awkward initially, because you're used to doing things by yourself, on your own, making your own decisions. Okay, let's go on to our Tauruses, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Here we have, this is a Martian energy, if you ever saw one. The Knight of Swords, he's running, He's galloping. He's got no time for anybody's BS. He's going to go get the bad guy. Now, does he know what he's doing? This is actually so counterintuitive to a Taurus energy. Taurus likes to move slowly. It likes to be methodical on some level, sort of go through this. It's not mercurial like Virgo, but it has this. I like to develop a sense of trust through experience. I like to do things, Taurus to me is a sign that says, if I'm not going to do it right, I'm not going to do it at all. So what is spirit? What is this running towards? What is this galloping energy that feels slightly assertive, if not aggressive here? Is this Uranus moving direct? I believe Uranus has moved direct. Happened the end of last month. Here we have Archangel Raphael. Fiona's showing up again. Rosetta is here. And then we have Isabella. Archangel Raphael is being joined by the Love card. Fiona is being joined by the Perception card. Rosetta is being joined by the Eagle. And Isabella is being joined by the Wind Fairy. Okay. As I look at this, I feel like this is really much more of an interior job for my Tauruses this week. Again, Pluto squaring the nodes is an ongoing thing. And it is this opportunity for continued layers of transformation. And it's not about releasing something or trying to let something go, but allowing it to its natural evolution into a higher vibration. So here, this now makes me feel as if Taurus is ravenous to be more in conqueror of their own thoughts, to be that there is an awareness of maybe their vulnerabilities, an awareness of their history right now. We know Jupiter's transiting retrograde in Taurus right now, so there could be some expansiveness in the review, because Archangel Raphael is offering an epiphany in love. And I don't know that I want to assign this to intimate love, but just love in general. How do I feel loved? How do I, as a Taurus, receive love? Am I overly cautious? Am I overly connected to my history that makes me inadvertently give off the impression that love is not exactly something I'm inviting in? Because this guy's moving so quickly, there's not a strong loving energy here, or not. This doesn't feel that way to me. So to me, when I look at this further indicates in the opportunity, the obstacle, that Taurus is ready to address their own personal perceptions. How do I perceive my value? How do I perceive my skills? There's the Perception card, and Fiona saying, now that you've asked God and the angels for help, be open to receiving inspiration. I don't think this is coming in the outside world. I think it's coming through an epiphany that every distasteful experience has an opportunity to be transformed into a loving experience as you show up in a vibration that represents you and the truth of who you are versus the reaction of the human that you are inhabiting right now. Because in the angel's advice is Rosetta, and here's the Eagle. And the Eagle here, while it can represent the connection to the angelic realm, and we know that's happening with this eclipse this week, this also represents a totem of Scorpio. And I think that's where I'm going to go to the deeper psychological dynamics of my own personal childhood. One of the things, it's been very hard for me, and I don't think I've let it go ever, or even necessarily incorporated it. But my father left a strong imprint. I love you, gotta go. So the words said, I love you. The I gotta go were his actions that really left the imprint. He was never available. There was always a golf game, a glass of scotch, a cribbage match, a television show that was more important than I was. And I am 63, almost 64 years old, and I really have not gotten over that. And I think I show up like that in most of my relationships. So I want to offer this for my Tauruses because I'm a Taurus moon, and I think Uranus could liberate you from this. But there's a part of you that's going to have to be willing to charge into your thought process here, and charging into it with, I have the intention to allow myself to start to tell a more loving story. Because Isabella is saying that the timing is right for a happy new adventure as you become more aware of your thoughts, and that your thoughts are things, and they create experiences that align to your deeper belief in yourself. And if your deeper belief is one that you're not really valuable unless you're providing something for somebody, a good meal, a good plate to sit at, or a table to sit at, a comfortable bed, if you're not providing the resources they need in the way of money, or you're not agreeing with the family history story they're telling. You may have a very different version of things. I have a lot of Taurus moons in my family, but each of us has it in a different house, and we are very different in our Taurus moon energy because of the house. Mine falls in the first house of Placidus, in Placidus. My sister's falls in the 8th house, and two of her children, it falls in the 11th house. So that's very, very powerful and very differing influences. So I think this is important for my Taurus, especially Taurus moons, to see if their thoughts are truly aligned to their happiness, or if inadvertently they're aligned to what's hurt them and where their story gets sort of stuck on a loop. Welcome, Gita. Good to see you here in the room. Okay, let's go on to our Geminis, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Our tarot card is the 7 of Cups. This is an energy where the character here is shrouded in darkness because he cannot make a decision based with his 5 senses. Everything he looks at has a good news, bad news. It can seem lofty or solid. Has a price to pay. When you win, you lose. So him being shrouded in darkness means that it's time to go into his intuitive body. And that intuitiveness is at the 7 level of an intellectual intuitiveness. Now, how does that work? It is an impartial judge. It is where your intuition isn't invested in what your personality wants as the outcome, but your intuition is more invested in what is truly balanced and fair to what you want. So let's kind of go back a few steps. And, I said to you guys, what price are you willing to pay for your happiness? Well, sometimes the price for your happiness is somebody else's unhappiness. And if you flip the script, then if they're happy, you're unhappy. And is that truly a divine energy? So this is really an energy that my Geminis are going to have an opportunity here during this eclipse with your ruling planet Mercury within a few degrees of this eclipse, which is 4 degrees, giving you an opportunity to start a communication with your angelic team, to close your eyes when you ask a question versus to look to see what the answer may be, to maybe, rather than taking short bits of information that you've gotten from other humans, going deeper and deeper into the levels of your inner knowing that says you'll be okay. If you make that jump, you'll be okay. If you spend that money for you to feel better about something, you'll be okay. Stay there. All right, let's see where we're going. What are they asking you to contemplate from a intuitive place versus a my 5 senses sort of place? Our first angel is Rochelle, following your heart. Caressa is offering the end of a life cycle, but a new beginning of strength and lovingly asserting your power. And that is never over others. Oh, and there's Chantal, the angel of romance. Rochelle is being joined by Merlin. Caressa is being joined by the Eagle. Athena is being joined by the Novice. And Chantal is being joined by the Fear card. So we have this eclipse in the sign of partnership. It is a solar new moon eclipse, a new beginning, a new chapter. And when I look at this for my Geminis, I see Rochelle offering me abundance as I follow my heart, and Merlin offering me alchemy and balance and justice. Merlin is the grand wizard, and the wizard knows that when I follow my heart, I'm following my soul. And when I follow my soul, I kick in the divine laws of the universe that have no option but to acquiesce to my desires. My ability to focus on what I want, to how it would feel when things are aligned, then that brings in a new experience. And it's an experience that actually allows Gemini to be a teacher. And you're not a teacher because you're talking at somebody, but they're learning through your experiences. Because Caressa is offering a new chapter. But in some respects, one chapter may close so that a new chapter may begin. And I think, again, we're looking at an interior job here, an intuitive. This could be potentially the chapter where your mind and the information you've gathered from others who are giving you their short bits of information. Let's call it the game operator. Remember the game Telephone or Operator, where you would say the sky is blue and you go around the circle, and by the time it gets back, it's the kite is green. So because here is the eagle, and I'm thinking this is the connection to the angelic realm, but I'm thinking this is another totem for Pluto. That you're rising, there's a birth, there's something coming from you that is allowing you to take this duality that you have and incorporating it in a much higher vibrational way. Because Athena is saying that you can lovingly assert yourself into following your heart. This is an unstable new beginning, but a new beginning nonetheless that ushers in much more balance, much more alchemy. Alchemy is feeling a sense of flow with your resources, your money, the things you want coming in. Because on some level, while Chantal represents love in an intimate way, I'm going to go back to this solar eclipse being in Libra. And for Gemini, I get a little bit of energy that when you love something, you fear the loss of it, or that somehow it may slip through your fingers. And that's where the 7 comes back. So I think this is an opportunity to say, I have more control over this because the habit in me is to feel loss. And now I get to rewrite that habit of loss into a habit of reception. And as I continue to focus that the universe will bring miraculous solutions into my experience, then I, as a Gemini, get to anchor that in and then share that information. How fear made me rise. Fear made me feel exhilarated. Fear gave new life to love. Isn't that an interesting idea? I'm telling you, you guys can make fun of me. Maybe even I'm going to say it and you'll unsubscribe, but that golden bachelor thing is just the beginning of seeing people of a certain age bracket displaying youthful experiences and attitudes. And I really believe that, those boomers are not going down without a fight, man. They're going to stay as young as they possibly can, as long as they possibly can. And not because they've replaced their hips, but because they've replaced their attitude. Okay, on to our Cancers. Quick sip. Pardon, the cayenne pepper just shot me in the back of the throat. Okay, Cancer. Ooh. 8 of Swords. This is not an easy energy. It's actually an energy that's very, it's a little bit foggy. I want to put it this way, because we can't see, this character cannot see how she's part of the wall that encases her, that makes her feel trapped. She is part of if we look closely at it, she could really just wiggle her way out of those bandages that are holding her as she sits. The bandage over her eyes is actually not covering her eyes. It almost feels as if she has victimized herself so much because she keeps talking the same story over and over again. Now, with Pluto opposing your house of your self, right? So Capricorn is your 7th house here. Cancer is the 1st house. I believe that this is not about villainizing yourself, but this is more about asking yourself where you're willing to put your nurturing qualities. Because I think those nurturing qualities are now asking them to be focused on you. Maybe being part of this wall of thought that has made you feel trapped is because inadvertently, when a Cancer is little, like when Cancer rising is a little kid, especially, if they're the girl, they'll be mommy's little helper. They'll be the one that runs around doing all these things for other people. And it gives them a sense of purpose, and it's exciting when they're little. But when it comes time for them to do things for themselves, to explore their own individuality, their own creativity, the imprint of serving others is what may make you feel trapped. I won't be loved unless I'm doing this for you. I won't be valued unless I'm giving this to you. And this could be why you feel trapped, because you want to feel loved, you want to feel valued. And at the same time, you want to feel a sense of your own individuality and power. Let's look and see. Our first angel is Archangel Gabriel. Communications and arts. Shanti is the angel of peace. Grace and Antoinette is the angel of compassion. And finally, Rochelle is the angel of your heart. I think Pluto's working you over a little bit, because Pluto's trying to let you rise like the phoenix. Pluto's trying to say you are important. Pluto's the smallest planet, and yet there's a huge heart on the surface of this planet that you can see from space. And that heart is created from this tumultuous things happening under the surface, this sort of gases, and I don't know what else it's called, gases and things that are churning, and it kind of comes up this light tealy white color. And I feel like this is so powerful, because this Pluto in the nodal structure of the self versus the partnership, there's balance here to be had. So for my Cancer risings, Archangel Gabriel is being joined by the water fairy. Shanti is being joined by the love card. Grace and Antoinette is being joined by the queen. And Rochelle is being joined by the death card. It's an interesting, and it's a little bit of a challenge in the Cancer energy, because Cancer is the mother energy. The moon rules Cancer. There's so much soul energy in the Cancer, but when it gets trapped on that human hamster wheel of nurturing others, worrying about others, taking care of others, it becomes a little sketchy, because it can get a little resentful. Too much time giving to others is erosive to the relationship. So I feel as if this Cancer taking care of you, saying, you know what, love you, but right now it's about me. Because here's Archangel Gabriel saying you have an important life's purpose in communications and arts. This is very mercurial to me. This mercurial energy is in conjunction with the eclipse. And we can take that mercurial energy and we can talk about our kids. We can talk about our communities, what we're obligated to in our communities, taking care of others. And then there's this water fairy. It's saying, and I would bet dollars to donuts that Cancer's been feeling this energy of, oh my God, I'm so tired. I'm so tired. If I don't take care of me, I won't be able to take care of others. And yet they're still not taking care of themselves. Still saying, oh, I'll do it another day. Because I think this love card is self-love. I need the day off. I want to take a nap. I want to go have fun. I don't want to do your laundry. I don't want to feed you. I want to go swim in the ocean today. I want to go put my feet in a saltwater bath. I need peace. I need peace. And I know I said earlier the word need is not, aligned to source. I want peace. I'm claiming my peace. I'm taking my peace, because Grace and Antoinette is the card of compassion for the queen. And who rules the home? The mother. The mother is the queen to the king. So this is about sitting back and relaxing and taking some time for you to replenish your heart, to replenish your soul, to put yourself on a priority list. If you're a Cancer mom, when was the last time you had a hot meal or a meal out where there wasn't a high chair or there wasn't a little one, saying, I want this, I want that? Because this to me The Death card, along with Rochelle, is asking you to transform from the doing energy to the being energy, to really put forth what you want and what you desire, because that Death card is a 46. It goes back to the idea of a one, the idea of thoughts, which go back to, am I standing in an obligatory energy where I know I must care for these little humans, or care for this or care for that, and at the same time I need to care for, I want to care for myself because my body is telling me I'm tired. Need is a word that serves a good purpose, but oftentimes it is a word that feels heavy. So I would prefer to say I get to take a nap, I get to take a day off, I get to go to the movies in the middle of the day, I get to call in sick one day, I get to self-care. I think that's important. It'll replenish your mind, your body, your spirit. And I would say this: if y'all can play hooky on the day of the eclipse, it's Saturday. Maybe you can, maybe you can't, but take that day off. Allow yourself the privilege of connecting, Cancer, with your moon as it eclipses the sun, the moon being the interior part of the human. And I want to say this too, because we only ever see one side of the moon from the Earth's perception. So oftentimes there's all these emotions on the other side of the moon that they can't be seen. So if Cancer doesn't self-care, how will anyone know how to take care of the other side of the moon? Experience teaches, words don't teach. So when you say, I need a break, I want a break, people go, I hear you. But then you take a break and they experience you in a higher vibration. All right, Leo. Leo, here we go. This is the 10 of Swords. This is not an easy energy. It takes that 8 of Swords and it puts it up a notch. This is a card of drama. This is the card known as overkill. And I want to offer it this way because Leo is also the sign of drama. And Leo currently has Venus at the very last degrees of Leo. And this would be around the point of Regulus. So the fixed star Regulus is the royal star. And while Leo, we're talking about the Leo first house here. So we're talking about this would be in the house of self. But I also want to say that anywhere there is a strong Leo energy in your chart, there could be this feeling very dramatic this week, feeling a sense of, well, let's see where we're going with the angels, but there's a feeling of that square to the nodes and this new chapter in the sign of partnership and you representing romance. There could be this feeling of a heightened sense of vulnerability to something unpleasant. Our first angel is Archangel Gabriel. The second is Rochelle. The third is Sonia. And the final is Xana. All of a sudden, as I look at this, I can't help but think about the writer's strike, thinking about the television industry, thinking about creativity and how there has been a lot of drama around creativity. And yet at the same time, maybe that drama is bringing things into a certain alignment. Archangel Gabriel talks about communications and arts, having a divine life purpose, not letting insecurities hold you back. Leo represents a sign of courage, the sign of the heart, the sign of your own personal creativity, personal enjoyment. So where are we going? Asserting yourself in a cool way towards what you find pleasurable, enjoyable, exciting, fun, entertaining. Rochelle is being joined by the Queen. I love that, Leo. Sonia is being joined by the Focus card. And Xana is being joined by the Mystery card. Okay, I want to say this. I think the 10 of Swords may be inadvertently a process you've been going through mentally where you've been thinking the worst case scenario. The thing about this 10 is that if you look on inspection, we only really see blood coming from the sword that is in this man's ear. Looks like it's in his ear. There's blood underneath, but all the other swords, they're very cleanly stabbed into his back. So I'm not even sure that's blood. It could be the robe underneath him, but there's something about this that makes me feel as if there's been no news, or there's been a sense of quiet, or there's been something that was odd or strange, and then it's put you in a place of feeling insecure or unsure that things are going to move forward. Here is Archangel Gabriel, who's offering me security versus insecurity and telling me to be calm, cool, and collected as I continue to focus in on what I want. Rochelle is talking about honoring my heart, and then this is a receiving energy. This receiving energy is, again, calm, cool, and collected as the universe is bringing into alignment, into focus, something that will then illuminate your next step. Because Sonia and the focus card this is all about focusing on communication with your team this week rather than the human drama. And this feels like a stall of some kind. It feels as if something has not been happening, and that is creating more and more unsuredness, which is then creating a no somehow in your head. And I don't know if there's really a no, because here is the protection card and here's the choice card. And I think that inadvertently Leo may be getting frustrated and wanting to get over with the frustration. So they are being like, would rather make a decision and say, forget it, than to just be patient a little bit. And I think that patience is really what Spirit is asking you for, and to make the choice to trust that you're being protected as the angelic realm is bringing something into your experience that you otherwise could not have manifested without their divine intervention. So try your best this week to sort of ask yourself, if you're feeling a bit intense about things, the universe is working for the greatest solution, for the highest and greatest good of all. Do your best to sort of stay as aligned as you can to the idea that Spirit has the baton and will be passing it to you shortly. YouTube has done something with the monetization, and I haven't quite connected to what that is. So I apologize if they are putting ads too much in the stream. I will see if I can figure that out, but I don't hold my feet to the fire on that. All right, we're going into our final sign of the day. This is our Virgo energy. And as Virgo would love it, the beginning of something coming into the material experience. This is very much an energy of a new beginning, of a sense of hope and a sense of faith that what is coming into my experience will take root. You see with the pages, they're always a bit light-footed. I can't think of one of the pages that's really sitting with their feet solid on the ground. So this indicates a bit of flexibility in the earth energy. When we go into the Knight of Pentacles, we see a very solid energy on that horse, almost a stubborn energy. So here, there's still this youthful faith that's going on. Where are we going with this, Virgo? Archangel Raphael is offering a physical healing. Caress is saying you're at the end of a life cycle, that new happiness awaits you. Archangel Michael is asking you to have the courage to make the divine life changes that will help facilitate Archangel Raphael's healing. And then we have Layla. Layla's about spending time talking to your team. Now, again, this solar eclipse is on the fixed star Spica, partnership with your angelic hosts, your team, those that are watching over you, those that have agreed to be with you lifetime after lifetime, to help you anchor into this earthly experience that which you have conceived of in the divine realm. And Mercury, your ruling planet, is conjunct this eclipse, giving you new insights, new thoughts, new information. Archangel Raphael is being joined by the Grail Knight. Caressa is being joined by the hawk. The hawk. Archangel Michael is being joined by the bee. And finally, Layla is being joined by the wasp. When I look at this, I believe that there's the potential that a piece of information will come to my Virgos that will remove an illusion of some kind, or a false hope, or present an opportunity to feel more balance. It almost feels as if, for my Virgo energy, if you've been working in a way that feels as if you're hoping someone's going to show your value through a monetary resource, or going to show I want to offer this too, because my late degree Virgos are on the super galactic center. That's 2 degrees of Libra. So anything within a few degrees of that, I'd say 5 to 12 degrees of 2 degrees of Libra, is going to indicate a really big soul's mission to be of service in the alignment of partnerships first with the self, and then partnerships with other humans. And I believe that Archangel Raphael is going to bring into the physical world some sort of epiphany that is going to remove an illusion or enlighten an illusion, so that you can seek a deeper, more sacred part of yourself within this experience. I believe that this is giving you broader sight into what you want, broader thoughts, as it ends a cycle of hope and brings in a cycle of intention, a cycle of having the courage to actually set an intention for what you want, versus feeling an obligation to be of service to those that expect something from you. Because Archangel Michael is offering you courage and protection as you examine your being energy, what you believe. And as you are aware of what you believe, you can start to bring good luck into your experience, because you'll allow for the closing of chapters that no longer serve your greatest happiness, because you have become aware of a growing frustration within you. Now, the thing about the Virgo energy, because it is a perfectionist and it can very much be very self-critical, when it has given of itself in a way that it feels now has become out of balance, that energy can get a little bit judgy and a little bit critical to others. It's almost as if they work so hard to get the approval of others, or the validation of others, or the pay raise, because they've worked so hard, that when they don't get it because the other people have not valued you, then this resentment can build up. And I feel like this is an opportunity to release that resentment, to see the illusion of the other person's maybe false promises, or that, I've never worked for an employer that was generous. I've never worked for an employer that actually gave reviews, or gave reviews with the intention of giving a raise. Those are usually in corporations that are so well structured that it's not a human that dictates those things anymore. So here, for my Virgos, this is a new opportunity for you to see your value, to see how you work in such a way that has given people a sense of security about your participation. They've almost felt as if you've put them before them. I look at this now and I wonder if this isn't what the service you're providing, and how you've looked at it with so much pride. And yet when I get over here, I feel like there's an epiphany that somewhere I'm not thriving as much as I could be thriving, because it's about putting myself first and having the courage to do that. And I want to say this too, because if you do work in a structure where there are, structured reviews and structured time off and you haven't taken your paid time off or all your vacation time and you're stockpiling it, start taking some damn time off. Somewhere, Virgo, I think this is really about taking care of you in a deeper way, thinking about how much you spend time in an enjoyment energy versus an energy of expectation from others. And I think that will start to bring more enjoyable experiences, which will then make all the process work you do, all the employment work or employee work you do, more favorable and more enjoyable. So, all right, everybody, that's it for this week. Again, it's a big influence this week that's going to last a lot longer than this week. So I would encourage you next Saturday during the time of the eclipse to really set intentions in a way that is conversational. You start to make friends with your team. You start to look at them as your BFFs, They're not here dictating your experience, and they're not here to teach you anything. They're here to hold space for your awareness of your power. And through that power, you are a co-creator. And through that co-creation, you learn that it's not just the good times that count, but sometimes those more challenging times offer the greatest pearls, the greatest diamonds, the most illumination. So thank you all so much. I'm going to put my hands together and I applaud you all for the awarenesses that you are rooting into your physical experience. And I will see you next week at 11 a.m. Pacific time. And we'll move forward from there. Peace out, everybody. And may y'all get a lot of sleep this week. I know I need it. Bye, everybody. See you soon.